Hello YouTube, welcome back to another video. Bit of a different one this week. As you can see from the screen here, we're going to be talking about Warhammer 40k instead of Star Wars Armada. Nothing happened with me in Armada at all, just haven't been able to figure out what I want to do for another video. A couple issues. First is that, well, I haven't been able to play much over these past few months, thanks to Grandfather Nurgle's dubious blessings on our little world. And the two ships that I would really want to talk about, namely the new Starhawk and the Onager, well, I haven't been able to play a ton of games with them. I think I've got less than a dozen games with those two ships combined. And don't really feel comfortable talking about my opinions on strategy and tactics with those ships when I've just had so few games with them. Other reason is that we're getting a brand new Armada update, point cost update, that is in a few months here. And a lot of these point costs look amazing, like Leia Organa coming down in points, which she desperately needed. But it also means that a lot of criticisms I would have about characters' point costs are probably no longer going to be valid. And I don't really want to make a video talking about how horrible the Imperial Interdictor Combat Refit or the Rebels Assault Frigate Mark II-A is, when their points costs could change drastically in a few months. So I decided, you know what, let's talk about something that we know is going to change and something where strategy and point costs really isn't that important. And really it's just on me getting more models that I can paint now that I'm locked up. And that is Warhammer 40k, namely the Grey Knights, because it looks like we're getting at least one new Grey Knight model. Pretty awesome. While I've been in, Plague lockup, I've been painting a lot of Warhammer 40k models, and mostly Grey Knight models to go with my Grey Knight army. Now, we're looking at the page of one Castellan Garen Crow. Pretty cool guy. He's the head of the Grey Knights Purifier Order, and this model in particular I own. This is a really cool model. One Castellan Crow on one particular list I have, with 2 squads of Purifiers, very much a fluffy list. But I don't really play Grey Knights and 40k in general very competitively. I'm not interested in metagaming and being optimal with my models on the tabletop in 40k. I already kind of do that in Armada. So I had this figure. It was a really cool looking figure. This is an old model. This is a resin model, and originally it was a metal one. So yeah, definitely an old model. And honestly, I didn't mind it that much. It holds up pretty well on a lot of the older Grey Knights models. For those of you who don't know, this gold inlay wording on the armor, you see Redemption Sword, you can see Annihilate there, and then on the chest, I can't really read the chest there, but on the, you can see Guardian and then Eternal, I believe that says. This looks really good, and you can actually read the inlay. On the older Grey Knight models, you couldn't really read the inlay. It looked like chicken scratch, honestly. Gold chicken scratch inlay. So, little surprised to see Castellan Crow being put to no longer available online here. Now, what does this mean? Well, on the homepage for Grey Knight products, on the 40k, on the Games Workshop site, I should say, you'll see that there's this grayed out with a banner here. It says sold out online. And instead of saying temporarily out of stock online, like it does for Drago, Voldus, Stern, it says no longer available online. This is a distinction, as the rest of these that you see here, Stern and the Paladins, those are going to eventually, presumably, be coming back in stock on the Games Workshop website. This Castellan Crow model will not be. Now, when this happens, there are generally 2 reasons for it. The first is, well, it's an old model. It's something that no one ever uses anymore. It's not selling well. We'll just take it off the site. Maybe in, 5-10 years, we might revisit it. And sure, that's a valid reason you can take a model off the site. I know for the Grey Knights that Chapter Champion was just not being used, and it was an old model, and there wasn't a ton of stuff being released for it, so Games Workshop just said, yeah, we're nixing the whole thing. Castle and Crow, however, is not unplayed. This is a fairly cool looking model. I know a lot of people have it. And Castle and Crow himself is a pretty sizable backstory, and he's got his own book, so I don't really see them just discontinuing this model and just saying, yep, he's gone, kaput, play someone else. No. Castle and Crow is a more established character, which leads me to believe that him being removed from the store is due to the second reason that models are removed from the store, and that is they're making a new one. We saw this with other models that got updates like Gazgul, where they're releasing a brand new model for the character, so they take the old one off the store and eventually bringing in the new model. So, hopefully, presumably, this means we're getting a new Castle and Crow model in the very near future. And that's really, really good. The reason I say that's really good is because Grey Knight players, we haven't gotten a ton of new models. This is the most recently released model for the Grey Knights, the Nemesis Dread Knight. And I want to say that this thing was released in the late 2000s, early 2010s. It's an older model. Not only is it an older model, it's a model that I thoroughly dislike. In concept, the Nemesis Dread Knight is awesome. It's a giant mech suit piloted by a Grey Knight in Terminator armor. Now, Grey Knight Terminator armor is awesome looking. Honestly, it's a large reason why I got into 40k in the first place, just because of how awesome Grey Knight Terminator armor looks. Specifically, the Grey Knight Terminator helmet. Amazing. Very knightly, angular look. Just awesome. And have one of those guys, a Grey Knight in Terminator armor. Total badass, getting into an even bigger mech suit, because there are even bigger demons for him to kill. Sounds amazing in theory. Atrocious execution here. I cannot describe to you how much I dislike this model. And it's not just because of the fact that it looks like a stupid baby carrier. One, it does. It looks like a stupid baby carrier. And that by itself, I would already dislike the model for that. But putting that aside, I still thoroughly dislike it because of what a missed opportunity this is. If you go online and look up Nemesis Dread Knight artwork or Nemesis Dread Knight kit bashes, you can see just how awesome this could have looked. And honestly, I really, really wish that we get an update for this thing soon. I want to see an update for this model very quickly. Because when your community is able to kit bash something that looks more than twice as good as this thing, you know you screwed up. I'm sorry, just, you really need to fix this. So, the Nemesis Dread Knight, yeah, I could spend hours and hours ranting about this thing, and you may think I'm being a little harsh. Well, I wouldn't be so harsh if the Grey Knights had more than 3 boxes of unique units that they could bring to the battlefield. They have the Nemesis Dread Knight, the Grey Knight Strike Squad box, and the Grey Knight Paladin / Terminator box. And that's it. Now granted, the Grey Knight Strike Squad box, website doesn't do an amazing job showcasing this, but you can either turn this Strike Squad box into just keeping it as a regular Strike Squad, which is the Grey Knight's version of regular Tactical Marines. Bit of a buff now that they're going up to 2 wounds, but still Grey Knight flavored Tactical Marines. They can be turned into Purifiers, which are just Tactical Marines, but with different stats, different abilities, and their helmet is now white. Yeah, that's the only change in the model there. You paint their helmet white. You can turn them into Purgation Squads, which, you grant this is just a model of a Grey Knight with a heavy weapon. You can bring one of these for every 4 other Grey Knight models you have in a squad. But you can turn them into Purgation Squads, which is just a 5-man squad of Grey Knights with heavy weapons. Or I should say, 5-man squad with 4 Grey Knights with heavy weapons, and then a Justicar with a sword or a halberd or a Stormbolter. And then you could turn them into Interceptor squads, which are Grey Knight strike squads, but they've got these antennae coming off of their power packs, which is meant to be a teleporter array, and you can just teleport them around the battlefield. Neat stuff in that, but again, it's just one box of slightly different flavored tactical Marines. And then we've got the Paladin/Terminator squad box. Now, granted, I love this box set because Grey Knight Terminators, as always, look amazing. But also, not only can you turn them into a 5-man squad of Terminators or a 5-man squad of Paladins, but you can also use that to create a Paladin or Brotherhood Ancient and Terminator armor, which comes with this awesome-looking banner. Or you can turn them into turn one of the models into an Apothecary in Terminator armor. Both of these are great. And then, one more, you can also turn one of them into, I suppose, a Librarian in Terminator armor. Now, all these look amazing, especially the Brotherhood/Paladin Ancient here. The Ancient has a banner, and that's raised detail. I don't know how well you can see that there. That's raised detail on the banner. Absolutely awesome looking. But, as I said, those are 3 unit boxes that the Grey Knights get unique for themselves. Now, granted, that's more unique units than most Space Marine chapters get. But the Grey Knights also don't get a ton of vehicles. And that's the real issue I have with Grey Knights aside from just non-unique units. Like, if they want to introduce in the lore that, Grey Knights can't be Primaris because of MacGuffin reasons, fine. But if you want to bring vehicles as Grey Knights, you're stuck with the Nemesis Dread Knight, and then a slimmed-down version of the other Space Marine vehicles, as long as they're not Primaris, and for some reason you can't take things like Predators or Whirlwinds. Aside from the Dread Knight, Grey Knights can take a Storm Raven gunship, the regular Land Raider, the one with the twin heavy bolter and las cannons. They can take Razorbacks, Rhinos, the 2 different versions of regular Dreadnoughts, Storm Talon gunship, and then also the Storm Hawk Interceptor, which wasn't displayed on the Games Workshop website. Don't really know why that is. The Land Raider Redeemer, the Land Raider with the autocannons and the Flamestorm cannons. And then the Land Raider Crusader, Land Raider with the autocannons and hurricane bolters. The characters they share isn't much better. They can take Servitors. Sure, Servitors are a thing. They can take Tech Marines, Terminator Chaplain, Librarian in Terminator armor, and the Tech Marine with Servitors. That's not a lot, especially considering all the other Space Marine chapters can bring Primaris characters, like Primaris Lieutenants, etc. And unique Grey Knight specific characters, well, there's only the 4 down here. There's Lord Kaldor Drago, Grandmaster Voldus, Brother Captain Stern, and formerly Castellan Crowe. Quick question, though, if anyone from Games Workshop happens to be watching. Why would you replace Castellan Crowe when Brother Captain Stern is clearly in need of an update more? Like, granted, sure, new Castellan Crowe model, awesome. Castellan Crowe is an amazing character, and I'd love to see him get a brand new model that looks amazing. Brother Captain Stern, though, you can even see here, he's got that chicken scratch unreadable gold inlay. And you know it's a bad figure when Games Workshop doesn't give you a 360-degree view for him. Yeah, talk about a face only a mother could love. This is an ugly, ugly figure. And given that Brother Captain Stern, I believe, has got pretty much just as much background as Castellan Crowe does in the lore, don't know why they wouldn't make a new model for him over Crowe. I don't know. That's weird. Voldus and Drago, just briefly look at them. Drago, let's get rid of that hideous face and make sure he's got the glorious Terminator helmet on. There we go. This figure still very much holds up. I quite like the Drago figure here. You can say what you want about him in the lore, that he's a atrocious Mary Sue. Yeah, you're right. But this is an amazing, amazing sculpt. This is an awesome looking model. And Voldus, him too. Amazing looking model. Actually picked up 2 of each of Drago and Voldus. And the Drago models, I just painted them up slightly differently. But the Voldus model here, first off, on both of them, I replaced his head sculpt with a Terminator head. 1, because the Terminator helmet, I feel, looks far better. And 2, I don't know if it's because I grew up watching too much Toy Story, but I look at Voldus's head and all I see is a grimdark Buzz Lightyear. I don't know, maybe I'm just being weird. But either way, this is an amazing, amazing model. However, that's it. They've got some really cool looking models, the Grey Knights. But if you look on the left here, the only other army that has anywhere close to as few models on offer as Grey Knights is Deathwatch. And Deathwatch, as you can see on their page here, they've got a lot of cool stuff. They can bring Primaris models. They've got things like the Primaris Firestrike servo turret. They can bring the Invader ATV. They've got the Chaplain on the bike. They've got a lot of the new Indominus models. And also, they can bring things like Primaris Repulsors and Executioners. Or they can bring the Primaris Apothecary, Aggressors. Well, Aggressors just got nerfed. But still, they've got a ton of really cool stuff they can bring. Grey Knights, not so much. And some of you are now probably thinking, oh, what about their Forge World page? Grey Knights surely must have some Forge World stuff. Yeah, that's the Grey Knights page on Forge World. Yeah. Pretty sad, I know. It's kind of just what you'd expect. It's a Thunderhawk gunship, which all Space Marines can bring. A very cool looking model, to be sure, but I mean, the intersection of people who have $735 to blow on a model and people who are so into 40K that they're willing to spend $735 on a model that's probably only going to see actual play in apocalypse battles. Yeah, you're not going to see a ton of people purchasing this giant model. Awesome as it looks, it's just really big and really expensive. Other one, the Grey Knights Land Raider Redeemer, relatively more reasonably priced at only $123. But this thing is pretty cool. It's a Land Raider Redeemer, and it comes with all the bits you see here on the hull, like the side doors and the shield, and then on the front here you can see the sword through the tome, the symbol of the Grey Knights. So really cool upgrade kit, effectively, for a Land Raider. But then it also comes with the twin-linked Psy Cannons up here. Psy Cannons are a big Grey Knights weapon, and on the front here, they replace what would normally be the autocannons on a Land Raider Redeemer. Very, very cool. And not only that, but you also get this awesome-looking Grey Knights Tech Marine / Tank Commander up here, which I actually, when I bought this model, full disclosure, I purchased this one. When I bought it, I did not place the Grey Knight Tank Commander up there, which may seem like a pretty big waste, but what I did do is I got jiggy with an X-Acto knife and the bottom part of a Grey Knight Strike Marine and turned him into basically like a Grey Knight Tech Marine. And able to do this fairly effectively. Reason being is because this kit that you order off of Forge World really is a bag full of the extra Grey Knight bits, like the doors, the front hatch here, the side cannons, the Tech Marine, and then they just threw in a regular Land Raider kit. So this kit plus all the extra bits you see here. Pretty solid. It does mean that you do get a Hunter-Killer missile and the parts to make a regular Space Marine tank commander, which meant that it came with the Tech Marine Adeptus Mechanicus symbol shoulder badge, so shoulder pauldron, I should say. So that's really good. But one thing to note is that despite the fact that you can bring it on the Land Raider Redeemer, or Vortimer pattern Land Raider is its technical name, there is no multi-melta that comes in this set at all. So, bit of a letdown there when you can bring multi-meltas on Land Raider Redeemers, and I would have really liked to see them throw one in there. But, oh well. So, this is a really cool model, but in the end, again, that's not a ton of models for the Grey Knights. And I really want to see more. I really, really do want to see some more. And hopefully we're getting some sooner rather than later, as evidenced by Castle and Crow here being sold out online. So, really, that's pretty much my video. I just wanted to put this out there to talk about, hey, not playing a ton of Armada just because of Nurgle's Plague, but haven't been painting some 40k Grey Knights, and I just wanted to talk about them. Some new cool stuff coming with 9th edition. Hopefully that means some new models. And hoping that maybe we get like a whole new Grey Knights Primaris line. I know Primaris is pretty divisive in the community, but I'm more concerned with, are they cool looking models? So that about wraps it up. Let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Do you like me talking about 40k models? Was this at all entertaining or instructive for you? Or should I just stick to Star Wars Armada? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next time.